Hello and welcome to this advanced tutorial on the Opticon barcode generator. My name is Jurgen. I'm one of the software developers here at Opticon. And in the first video I showed you how through 3 simple steps you can create your own barcodes. Now you might want to know more about the barcodes or the options for the barcodes. So this tutorial goes a bit more in depth. When you choose a barcode type, they are all grouped together like 2D codes and EAN UPC codes, other linear codes, and say you want to know a little bit more about that code and if it suits your needs. Well, then you can press the little I button and then you are redirected to the code 128 that I clicked, and then you can read, well, a code 128 is a high-density barcode that can encode all ASCII characters. The most common use of code 128 is for certain shipping labels. Well, that immediately explains what a code 128 is designed to do. And if we scroll down and we say, oh, here we see the interleaved 2 of 5, commonly used in logistics. Well, it's a number of digits. Well, I don't want to store any letters. I don't need the ASCII encoding. I want digits. Then you can press generate on the code of your choice, and you are redirected back to the barcode generator on the code of your choosing. Then when you type in the data, I showed you the other time, I can just type in a couple of numbers and then press generate. And you get a code at the bottom. But you might want to have a bit more say on what you want with that code. For instance, do you want the guard bars for a interleaved 2 of 5? Yes or no? If I turn it off, the guard bars disappear. Do you want whitespace? Yes or no? If I download the barcode and I opened it, it just looks fine, right? Well, if I now say I want to edit the code, you can see on a black background that it has a bit of white space around it. This ensures that a barcode scanner has enough white space around the code that it knows where the codes start and end. If you're not really interested and you want to make the code as small as possible, you can say I want to remove the white space, generate the code, and if I download it now and I press the edit button, you can see that the code is minified and the white space is removed. Now, each type of barcode has its own specified amount of white space, so if you turn it on, you will know that the specified minimum white space for that type of code will be sufficient and adheres to all the standards. If you want to invert the black and white because you want to use it for a special kind of background color, well, you can just invert the code like that. No problem. Do you want a check digit? Do you want to enable it and print it? If you don't want to print it, it goes away. But there is still that 0 check digit that we saw a second ago is still in the code itself. Now, if we go for example a 2D code, like a QR code, we can say I want Unicode encoding. For if I type in certain characters that it doesn't know, because you can do all kinds of special characters and it will generate them because it knows those codes. But if I type in something like a euro sign, and I say generate, it says error, there are uncodable characters, so it already gives you a warning. You need to enable Unicode encoding. And when I do that, I can generate a QR code. I can also put in enters and type more information, and it generates a single code. But I can also say, well, an enter means I want several codes. So I want a code that says this, I want a code that says new line, and I want a code that says more information. And I can generate it. You can see a little 3 here at the top right. And if I download it as a PNG, it will already zip all of the files together. If I say I want it as a PDF, and I open the resultant file, then I will get 1, 2, 3 QR codes all in one document. I can also say, well, actually, I also want to escape certain sequences. For instance, if you want to say a tab or a new line or other special control characters that you need in that code, and you want to make sure that they are in the code and they aren't escaped, then you can say, turn on those escape sequences. You can say the amount of error correction you want. Do you want it to automatically say how much error correction is in the QR code? Or do you want to say, well, I want 65% of all the symbology to be error correction. This code is going to be used in a place where there might be dirt covering up parts of the code, or it will might tear a little bit because it's in motion. I want to make sure there's as much error correction as possible so that codes keep working, and I don't really care about how big they become. And once again, you can say whitespace or inverted. Now for some of the specialty codes, which I skimmed over a little bit, if you create that QR business card, this whole list will already tell you what each segment says. So this is the first name, this is the last name, this is the organization, and there you go. You can type them all in, and once you're done, you can generate a code. And this is a complex QR code. You can download it, print it on a business card, and then show it to customers. They can scan it with their phone, and a new contact can be added to their contact list on their smart device. Same goes for calendar codes. What kind of event is it? What's the title of the event? The description? Is there a website that comes with it? Is there a specific location? And of course, at what time do we start and do we end the meeting? So you can just type in or use the keyboard like I am doing here, and you can generate a calendar code. Now, Wi-Fi codes are absolutely brilliant because you want to keep your network secure. So you want a strong and not easily crackable code. But if you have guests over, you want them to be able to use your Wi-Fi as a courtesy. And this is a great way to combine the two. You can have a very complicated Wi-Fi password without having to ask your customers to type it all out. So you can type in, what is the network called? Well, here in the office, it's called Opticon Guests. And what is the network key? Well, you can type it in and it will all be in secret. You can say what kind of an encryption code it is. Well, by default, everybody now uses WPA 2 or 3. We press generate, and now this code would connect you to our guest network here in the office. And lastly, map codes. Once you get into map code, you will see there's already a small little pointer which points to our office here in the Netherlands. But if you want to say to someone, hey, you want the directions to Schiphol Airport, you can zoom in on Schiphol, click on the map, and generate a QR code with those coordinates. You can also search for a specific location, for instance, the White House. And there you go. You have the White House in Washington. You can generate a code, and you've got the code for the White House. And that, in a nutshell, is all of the advanced features. Be sure to play around with them, and if you have any questions, please contact Opticon. The info is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.